Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So, it's been a minute, I understand. We are going to kind of skip the intro today just because I do want to kind of address just with you guys where I've been. At the end of 2019, we had a rough time personally, just as a family. We went through some things at the end of 2019, and once you kind of plow through the holidays and plow through the new year, we just needed to take some time. It was just time to take a little bit of a break for, some personal reasons. Suffice to say, it was necessary and it was needed, and I am so excited to be back, and I'm so sorry that I was gone for as long as I was. I did get so many messages from my subscribers saying, "Are you okay? What's going on? We haven't heard from you." And it is so nice to know that I was missed, and I really appreciate everybody that reached out during that time. It was genuinely really appreciated. So we are back, and we are back with a bang. We have so much to talk about. There's been a lot going on in my absence. Today, I want to talk about a brand new foundation that has recently come out. And this foundation is a foundation that's being launched by Bite. And Bite is a brand that's been around for quite a while. Their big claim to fame was their lipsticks, particularly that agave lip mask that they have that everyone uses and says is just amazing. They also have one of the best bullet lipsticks out on the market. But Bite Beauty, we've all seen in our Boxy Charms and on the shelves at Sephora. They started with, having a little bit of shelf space there at Sephora with all of their Bite Beauty lipsticks. The Amuse Bouche line that came out was incredibly popular when it came to lip products. Well, now they've decided to stick their toe into Complexion. And man, they came out with a bang. They came out with a full Complexion line. They came out with a primer that has two options, one for normal to dry skin, another primer for normal to oily skin. They came out with a foundation that includes 32 shades. They also came out with a powder to go along with this trio of products for Complexion. So we have the primer, we have the foundation, and we have a powder. All right, so obviously when it came to looking at this foundation routine and when it came down to trying it out, I have tried it out for a couple of weeks now, and I opted to go with the primer that was for normal to dry skin. And that's because typically, especially around this time of year, I tend to be a little bit drier. I normally am combo where I'm dry on the perimeter of my face and just slightly oily in my T-zone, but around this time of year I'm just pretty dry overall. So the primer that I opted to go for was the primer that was for normal to dry skin. Now this is the primer. This is what the component looks like. It's just a plastic squeezy tube, which I can definitely appreciate. I'll give you guys a close-up of the component and take a look at what the texture of this primer looks like here. So the primer itself is saying that it's going to be the perfect link between your skincare routine and your makeup. So this one again is for hydration. So this one is for normal to dry skin. The other one they have is for normal to oily skin, which is going to help mattify, control shine, and it even says that that one blurs the look of pores. So that one's probably more of a pore filling primer. This one, however, again, is the hydrating primer. This includes olive oil. It also has hyaluronic acid complex in here and different hyaluronic acid particles and sodium PCHs so that you get a little bit of enhanced hydration with this particular product. Now, I like using this primer. There is just something to be said about using a full system where the synergy between all of the products is the way that they're all created to work together. There is something to be said for that. Sometimes it can get a little tricky when it comes to mixing different primers with different foundations, especially when you're talking about silicone-based primers and water-based foundations, and sometimes they can actually fight fight each other and your makeup can actually look like a mess. But I like using the cohesive system in particular with this system, because these three products really are kind of interlocking products that really build very, very well on top of each other. The primer itself is nice. It's very hydrating. It just feels like you are giving your skin a nice boost of hyaluronic acid. It kind of plumps up a lot of fine lines and wrinkles. So if you have some fine lines and wrinkles, it's really nice for that. And it does a really good job at keeping your skin hydrated throughout the day, which is one of my bigger issues. I will put on, all of my skincare and my hydration in the morning, but inevitably around 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I can start noticing the cracking and the creasing and caking of product as all of the moisture is getting sucked out of my foundation and out of my product. You'll start seeing where the foundation pigment is left over on the skin, which is why you see a lot of that kind of caking, and sometimes why you see a little bit of settling into creases and fine lines as the day progresses. So if your skin stays hydrated throughout the day, then it doesn't feel the need to suck all the moisture out of your foundation that you're wearing, leaving nothing but pigment behind on your skin. And that's when you can kind of start seeing that blotchy look where your foundation seems to like break up. That's kind of what you're seeing happening. So hydrate if that is an issue for you. But this is a great hydrating primer. It does the job, and what I like about it is that it does the job effectively over the course of the entire day. So the primer itself is fantastic. I do think it's a little expensive for what it is. You do get a full fluid ounce of primer in here, but it retails for $38. So this is almost a $40 bottle of primer. That's a little pricey for what it is. I get that the primer is clean and it's vegan. All of those things are wonderful. I love the fact that this is just overall got really good for you ingredients in it and nothing harmful is included in the ingredients list. I just don't know that that $38 price tag is worth it, but it is effective. It does work, and it works great in conjunction with the other products. I personally really do like the way that it preps the skin for this particular foundation. So next up is the foundation. So this is the Changemaker Supercharged Micellar Foundation. Now, the one thing that I have noticed about this is typically when you're looking at a clean vegan type of foundation, usually you have to sacrifice the high performing aspects of the product in order to get a clean product. But they're claiming that this is not only going to be a clean and a vegan foundation, but that it's also going to be a high performance foundation. And those are rare. The shade range for this particular foundation is fantastic. They have 32 different shades that range all the way from very light all the way to really, really deep, lots of different undertones, neutral, cool, warm undertones. So there is a plethora of colors to choose from. I'll give you guys a close-up of the component, and I also want you to take a look at the texture of this particular product as well, because this foundation is a very unique texture. It reminds me a lot of like a gel foundation. It is very, very thick, but also kind of light and creamy at the same time. I really don't mind the texture, but it's definitely a little different. So again, this is a very creamy, long-wearing foundation that is supposed to perfect your skin, and you're supposed to be able to build this all the way up to medium coverage. This is an antioxidant-rich foundation that includes different superfoods in here, the maqui berry, and then it also has that micellar technology that works just to kind of mimic your skin so that you have a product that gently mimics skin texture, so it kind of looks like skin. It mimics all the features of skin. That's going to give you a smooth kind of non-cakey look. At least that's the claims. So between the maqui berry, which is very antioxidant rich, you have lots of antioxidants in this foundation, and then in addition to that, you have the micellar technology, which again is supposed to just mimic the skin. So this formula should be able to stretch and move and mimic your skin's texture so that it actually looks like skin when you apply it. Now, the application recommendations online are to use your fingertips or to use a brush. I found my favorite way definitely isn't with a damp beauty blender. It just kind of does something funny to it when I tried it. So my preferred method is with a brush. Now, once I've gotten it onto the face and I've buffed it out with a brush, then I'll kind of go over and just bounce out, like, you know, any kind of streaks or fine lines that I see that need to be touched up with the beauty blender. But I definitely found that either your fingers or a brush is the best way to apply this foundation. I'll show you guys what application looks like here. Now, the one thing that I will say about this particular foundation is that it is very skin-like. I love the way this foundation sits on the skin. It just looks beautiful. I also was very surprised by the coverage. This really did a great job of evening out my skin tone and really getting rid of a lot of the areas that I deal with on my face of redness and hyperpigmentation. I was expecting this to be a little bit more of a sheer to medium coverage. I wasn't expecting to get as much coverage out of this foundation as I did with just one layer of coverage. And you can see the difference in the application footage between the side that's done and the side that's not. You actually get quite a bit of coverage with this particular product. So that was pleasantly surprising. I was expecting this to be a little bit more along the lines of like, kind of like a BB cream type of application. I was really thinking this was going to be just a very sheer to light coverage foundation, but it really has a lot of pigment in here. You get a lot of coverage. It does a beautiful job of evening out your skin tone. And at the same time, it just gives you a very natural, beautiful finish. You have a lot of glow on the cheeks with this particular foundation. It gives you this very healthy looking glow that I really, really like. The foundation itself lasts really, really good on its own without any primer. You can get a good 8 hours out of it. With the primer, I've pushed it as high as 11 hours, but that is as long as I've worn it. And with the primer, it was good to go for 11 hours before it starts to kind of break down on the tip of the nose, the chin, you know, my trouble areas. So it's a really good, long-lasting foundation. I am very, very pleased with this foundation. I was surprised by this foundation. I wasn't expecting to really like this one as much as I do. I have found that I've reached for this one over a lot of my favorites recently because it does look so pretty on the skin, especially outside in like real life, natural lighting without all these beauty lights and everything else going on. It just really looks good on the skin. Definitely encourage you to go by your local Sephora, grab a tester, take it home, test drive it for a day, see what you think about it before making the investment, because this fluid ounce, one full fluid ounce of product does retail for $39.50, I think is the retail price. So it's a $40 foundation. Little pricey, so you may want to take it for a test drive before you jump in and go ahead and purchase it. But I honestly really, really like it. I did get the shade L40 and L30. I'll show you guys what these two particular shades look like here. L40 ended up being a little bit too dark for me, and so I just ended up mixing a little bit of L30 in with it, and I ended up getting my perfect match that way. But just for reference purposes, anybody's wondering what L30 and L40 look like, there you go. So that is the foundation. I absolutely love it. Beautiful, beautiful foundation. Beautiful, beautiful coverage. One product left out of this lineup, and that is the powder from Bite Beauty. So they did launch a powder, and one of the things that got me really, really excited about this powder is that this is a talc-free setting powder, which, hallelujah, it should end up looking really, really good. It's a very mineral-based powder, so you're going to be able to get that really finely milled, airbrushed look on the skin. Now, the powder itself comes in many, many different shades. I think there's 8 different shades, if I'm not mistaken, so definitely a shade for everybody. The shade that I got is light number 2, and it looks like this, although you can't really tell. It looks a little more yellow here in the beauty lights. I'll give you guys a close-up of what it actually looks like here and let you guys see the component too. So again, this is the Changemaker Flexible Coverage Press Powder, and what you're going to find with this product is a long-wearing, very, very lightweight powder that's going to give you a very silky, soft, matte finish that just kind of melds with your skin. And it also has the antioxidant maqui berries in the powder, in addition to very finely milled volcanic minerals as opposed to talc. And that's where you're going to get a lot of that blurring, that controlling of shine, that mattification to it as well. So those 2 particular products, the volcanic like mineral products that they have in here instead of talc, again, blurs, controls shine, going to give you that mattifying look all day long. And then the antioxidants that are in here, really, really good bonus for your skin as well. Very, very lightweight powder. I really like the fact that it is as lightweight as it is. This is one of those powders where it's really, really easy to overdo it because it is so lightweight. A lot of people will make the mistake of, I don't feel it. I don't feel like I'm putting it on. So they'll go in really, really heavy and just start pounding it on. And you can overdo it with a really lightweight powder like this. So less is more with any powder, but in particular with this powder, less is more. You really only need, it comes with a puff. I would recommend just tapping the puff in here and then just taking the puff itself and just pressing it into the areas that you need to set. It is a very natural matte finish. I really like this powder. I like this powder to keep throughout the day for touch-ups, but it's nice that it's pigmented as well because you get kind of an extra layer of coverage when you use the powder. So if you build up the foundation and you find that you would like a little bit more coverage, then give the powder a shot. You'll get that little bit of extra coverage. Plus, you'll go ahead and set the product as well, which will help with longevity throughout the course of the day. But overall, I do find that it is a little bit on the dry side. So for me, I have to use it very, very sparingly. And I'll set my forehead, my nose, smile lines, my chin, and then I'll stay away from like the under eye area, places like that. I definitely will not use this product in areas on me that are super, super dry, but this is a really good product just to kind of use in your T-zone and different places where you tend to be a little bit oily. So if you're an oily girl, I would absolutely recommend the powder. If you tend to be a little on the dry side, then you should just be good with, just the primer and the foundation. Take a normal setting powder that you have at home if you want to just, dust a little bit of powder on the face. Unless you're oily, I would say this isn't like an absolute must-have. And coming in at $36, I can definitely think of other powders out there that I would rather invest in. So a couple of the powders that I've used with this particular foundation that I have found work really, really good with it. The Hourglass setting powder and the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Genius setting powder, both of those work really, really good with this foundation. The Nakia Joy setting powder works really good. And from a press powder perspective, the Milani, the Prep Set and Glow face powder that I love so much, this and the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish, both of these also work really great in really light layers with this foundation because it's just not necessary to use a really heavy layer of powder with this product if you are normal to dry. So yeah, that's kind of my take on the powder. Nice if you're oily, if you want it and you're just more of a drier combo, you know, use it on your T-zone or work in really, really light layers. And that's it, guys. So that is the rundown of this entire collection. And you know, at the end of the day, I was actually pretty impressed by this line. I think Bite Beauty did a really good job. It was definitely different than what I expected. I did not expect to be as impressed with these products as I am. The primer worked fantastic. I think this is just a little overpriced. The foundation is amazing. This is a phenomenal foundation that looks beautiful. It lasts a really long time. It's a clean foundation. It's vegan. What more can you ask for? You know, finally a clean vegan product that's also a high performance product, which again is a rarity. So yeah, this is a great product. And the powder is, you know, kind of a give and take. You know, this is going to be up to you and your personal preference. So this one I could, you know, I could take it or leave it. The primer, kind of the same thing, but I really like this primer. And because the foundation itself has such unique ingredients, I would almost hesitate to use another primer with this particular foundation. So yeah, I would definitely recommend grabbing these two together, and definitely Erica approved products. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Have you had a chance to try this foundation yet? Are you guys really excited about it? What do you think about the launch? What do you think about the shade range? Make sure you sound off in the comment section down below. I am so glad to be back. All of my new subscribers out there, welcome. I'm so glad that you guys came by. All of my new ones that are here today watching this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button before you leave. If any of you aren't following me on Instagram, make sure you come over and follow me on Instagram at Erica Approved. We have a really good time over there. And I guess that's it, you guys. We have so many concealers coming up this week. So I think we might just have like a concealer party for a week just to go through all of these concealers. Lots of stuff coming up over the course of the next couple of days, so definitely stay tuned. All right, you guys, listen, I hope you are all very, very happy and very, very healthy, and I will see you guys in the next video. Mwah.